The Group 1 action for the season might be behind us, but there's still plenty to discuss when it comes to Hong Kong racing. This is what's in store for you on Hong Kong Direct this time. And we're going to look back at Exultant's tenacious triumph to pick up his 5th Group 1 and going back-to-back in the Standard Chartered Champions and Chater Cup. Plus, it's the ongoing arm wrestle between Zach Purton and Joe Moreira to be crowned this season's champion jockey. We'll be discussing that on the show with our special guest, Darryl Anderson, Senior Racing Advisor to the Racing Club at the Hong Kong Jockey Club. And Darryl, plenty to discuss. Let's start off, though, by looking back at the Group 1 from last weekend, the Champions and Chater Cup. Exultant, what a tough horse he is.
He is a tough horse, and that's why he is the champion star of Hong Kong, isn't he, Ed? Thank you for having me back. He is an absolute marvel, and I think basically when Zach was able to get across and sit outside Time Warp at the winning post with a lap to go, I think from there, those that took the short odds would have been pretty happy.
They would have indeed, yes. He started at about 1.5. It was a true staying contest. We had Shafano take off with around 1,100 metres to go, so he certainly showed why he is our champion stayer in that race. He had to run every inch of the 2,400.
Yeah, he was starting to knock up just the last little bit and get a bit tired, but yeah, I think all the work had been done to that point, and it was a case of gliding to the line and waving to the crowd.
For sure. A couple of interesting subplots. It was a terrific day for Zach Purton. That was one of 4 winners on the day for him, but it was an up-and-down day as well too. He was thrown off one horse, Regency Bobo, and also thrown off Fast Pace before the Champions and Chater Cup. So there was even some doubt for a moment as to whether he would ride Exultant in the big race. Yeah,
that was the race before. So, yeah, tough as boots, though, these jockeys, aren't they? And he was able to bounce back and guide Exultant to that impressive victory. And I guess, as you said, makes the Jockeys Championship a little bit more interesting now. And even the Trainers Championship has got a whole lot more interesting too, as we've only got 13 meetings to go.
Yes, Tony Cruz, after Sunday's meeting, went on to Wednesday night and secured a treble there, so he is breathing down Ricky Yu's neck when it comes to the Trainers' title for this season. We'll look at the titles in a moment, but before we do that, let's have a better look at what happened last Sunday at Sha Tin with Doug Chalmers.
Hong Kong's best stayers took the spotlight at Sha Tin on Sunday, and Exultant proved why he's the dominant horse in the division as he recorded his 2nd consecutive win in the Group 1 Standard Chartered Champions and Chater Cup.
Exultant, he's out on his feet, but he still leads a length. Shafano, Furore, they're trying to get him. Exultant kicking over Shafano, Furore, Exultant in front. It's the high five of Group 1's Exultant.
You know, you draw a wide gate in these small fields, you always got a target on your back, especially when you're on the favourite. So they made me work a little bit early. He never really dropped the bid. He was overdoing it. I wasn't happy with that. I put him in behind to give him some cover, and then I was surprised when Cafano tried to take off. When you try and take off and go head-to-head with Exultant 1,000 out, there's only going to be one winner. Oh, once again, I thought I was flat at the top of the straight, but he was just waiting for him. And I could feel him as they got closer. He just kept kidding, he just kept giving enough. Give me a heart attack, but give enough to win the race.
The former Irish galloper's triumph further strengthened Tony Cruz's stranglehold on the race, as it was his 7th win as a trainer in the last 8 renewals. Exultant now has one more battle for the season, the fight to be crowned as Hong Kong's Horse of the Year, where Derby winner Golden 60 appears to be his main rival. The other feature on the programme, the Group 3 Sha Tin Vase, was also taken out by Zach Purton, this time on John Moore's consistent sprinter, Thanks Forever.
Hot King Prawn still in front. Big Party outside the 3. Thanks Forever from Fat Turtle. 3-way go. Thanks Forever. Thanks Forever. It's Zach again. Thanks Forever won the Vase.
She's been very genuine without winning a black type race. So it's good to get that win up today. Also to give the horse a bit of confidence too, getting to the line. But I thought off not a real quick speed earlier on, I thought he hit the line really well, and through the line he was starting to pull away.
Beyond this season, Thanks Forever's future is in the hands of Tony Cruz, who will take over the training of the horse when John Moore retires at the end of the current season. The feature racing action continues this weekend in Hong Kong with the running of the Group 3 Lion Rock Trophy over 1,600 metres at Sha Tin.
Later on in the show, we'll be dissecting the runners for the Lion Rock Trophy. Darryl's job's to find the winner of that. But before we get to that, Darryl, Doug brought up a good point as far as Exultant is concerned. The Horse of the Year title coming up, of course, at the end of the season. He's a 5-time Group 1 winner, 2 of those coming this season. Is that enough for him to clinch the title?
It probably is. Yeah, he is the favourite, basically, for the title, although... Look, I've got a really strong feeling for Golden 60, unbeaten this season from 1,200 to 2,000. I mean, that feat in itself is outstanding. He's won the race that I guess many owners in Hong Kong want to win, the prestigious Derby, and he did it, of course, in sensational style. So for me, it's a flip of the coin, and if you had to hold a gun to my head, I'd probably lean the way of the 4-year-old, but yeah, it could go either way.
It could. Is the knock, I guess, on Golden 60 the fact that he hasn't won a Group 1 against the older horses, unlike Exultant, who obviously is one of the older horses, but has proven himself at the top level against all comers, really? Yep,
totally agree. And of course, you can't entirely dismiss the other likely contenders either. Beat the Clock, he's won a couple of Group 1s, including one against the Internationals in December. And how can we forget about Beauty Generation, a Group 1, Group 2, Group 3 winner, a 1,400 metre track record. So sometimes it's a little bit hard to compare apples and oranges because they are all different horses. But yeah, I would say Exultant is the favourite, but only just.
And just to expand upon a couple of those horses that you mentioned as well too, at the start of the season, if we had to put in a guess for who would be Horse of the Year, I think 99% of us would have gone for Beauty Generation, and he's still proven what an old, tough war horse he is, but he's lost that aura of invincibility this season.
Yeah, he has a little bit, and as Zach has quite openly said, he's probably lost a couple of lengths as well, but... Yeah, look, he's still a grand campaigner, and obviously they've decided to move stables with John heading down under and continue his career into the 2020-2021 season. And yeah, look, I wish them well. He's been a marvel, hasn't he?
He has, and it was great to see him return to Group 1 winning ways, taking out the Queen's Silver Jubilee Cup, which, interestingly enough, was a race where Beat the Clock put in a career worst performance, really. We haven't seen him since then. Does that dent his hopes in these awards, because he'd been so good up until that point?
Yeah, and I guess we haven't seen a heck of a lot of him, have we, this season? Maybe that might be a Gingham as well. But yeah, look, 4 very, very worthy contenders.
OK, so last season it was cut and dry. Beauty Generation was 8 from 8, 4 Group 1 wins. It was no contest, really. But it might be hard for the voters to pick who's going to win, Darryl. You could make a case, as we have already, for all 4 for why they should and shouldn't win.
Exactly. And like I said, I think Exultant would be the logical favourite if you were to frame a book for the Horse of the Year. But yeah, if I had to vote or got a vote, probably Golden 60 for me, but only just.
OK, so I'll go Exultant as my pick. Golden 60 perhaps for yourself. Darryl, of course, he's trying to emulate what Rapid Dragon was able to do and claim the 4-year-old series all 3 legs and then be crowned Horse of the Year. Exultant, I guess, is perhaps unlucky not to have won it already. Had he come around at another time, he wouldn't necessarily be living in the shadow of Beauty Generation like he has for much of his career. Is he now getting the credit, do you think, that he deserves as a horse?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think had he won the Vase in December, I think the voting would have been clear-cut, to be honest.
OK, so that's a look at the Horse of the Year awards that will be coming up at the end of the season in July. It's a fascinating prospect for what will unfold, a big decision for those with the power to vote on that. Plenty more to come on this week's edition of Hong Kong Direct. Don't go anywhere. We'll be looking ahead rather, to the Lion Rock Trophy after the break. Welcome back to this week's edition of Hong Kong Direct. We're about to preview the Group 3 Lion Rock Trophy, the feature of 11 races coming up at Sha Tin on Sunday. But if you want a preview of all 11 races, go to the website hkjc.com on Saturday night, Hong Kong time. And a race-by-race guide with a Racing to Win team will be there, where Paul Larry and the team will have found all the winners for you. Before we get to the Lion Rock Trophy, though, one of the big talking points right throughout the course of the season, and it's going to become even more of a talking point in these last few weeks, Darryl, has been the jockey title battle between Joe Moreira and Zac Purton. Just before we dissect it, I guess, in New Zealand, you work closely with a number of jockeys as a jockey manager. Coming here to Hong Kong and seeing Joe and Zac on a week-to-week basis, why do you think they're our two standout jockeys here? Oh,
they're just outstanding, aren't they? Both consummate professionals, both execute a race extremely well. They often get a wide choice of rides in every race, and obviously they've the ability to pick the best one that suits them, whether it's weight related or whether it's draw related or form related, pace related, everything. I mean, they can assess a field once it comes out and make the pick of a number of rides in every race, so that gives them a distinct advantage. But actually being able to see them again in the flesh since I've been here is fantastic. They're both phenomenal athletes and great to watch.
Yes, they're two of the stars of the show and two people that everyone around the world really associates with racing in Hong Kong. They traded blows last Sunday at Sha Tin. 4-all was the scoreline, but Zac had a bit of a free hit, didn't he, on Wednesday with Joe Moreira suspended. He made the most of that opportunity.
Yeah, he did. He snuck a couple ahead, and I guess if you'd asked me at the beginning of the season who was going to win the championship this year, without without any hesitation, I would have said Joe, just simply because he was back having his full season as a freelance jockey. We know his ability to ride a little bit lighter than Zac, and so my money, I would have mortgaged the house even on Joe. But gee, hasn't it become interesting with just a couple of weeks to go? Not only just in the Jockeys Championship, Ed, but also the trainers has got very close as well.
It has, yes, as I was saying before, Ricky Yu has led for most of the season, but Tony Cruz is certainly making it interesting. His horses are in terrific form, so they're the two stables, really, I think, to be keeping an eye on. Let's go back, though, to Zac and Joe. 126 to 123 is the scoreline at the moment in favour of Purton. And let's have a look at the rides they've got coming up over the course of Sunday's meeting. Zac Purton with 9 rides. Hurricane Hunter is a horse who's in form. Golden Bowl performed really well on debut. Racing Fighter, Zac has a really good record on this horse. Bright Kid's coming off a last start win. Party Genius went close and was a bit unlucky a couple of starts ago, while Lucky Moore is also a promising horse stepping up in class. So 9 rides for Zac. He misses out on the feature where Joe Moreira will ride Beauty Legacy. Joe's got a full book for the meeting, including Bundle of Energy at the beginning of the day. Fabulous 8, who won well and won a strong form race last time out. McMonagall's going very well. Handsome Bobo's back to his right distance. And Fantastic Show is looking for his 5th win in a row, while Lucky Express is an interesting newcomer to the Hong Kong racing scene. Darryl, who's got the better book of rides for Sunday?
Again, if you had to put me on the spot a little bit, probably Joe, just. I do like that first starter. It interests me a lot in the last. Lucky Express comes from Australia, where he was given a big rap by his Mornington trainer Matt Laurie there, and has trialled up super in preparation for his first up run. He's got a good gait, and I expect him to be very, very competitive in the last, and he's one of 2 first starters at the meeting, Ed, that I'll be watching with a lot of interest.
OK, what's the other one, Darryl?
I knew you were going to ask that. Winning Dreamer in race number 3, I thought he had trialled up really well too.
Okay, so you might have found a winner on the undercard for us there as well. Before we look at our preview for the Lion Rock Trophy, we caught up with Joe Moreira at Trackwork for his thoughts on where things lie in the jockey battle at this point in time.
Well, Zach has the head start. He's obviously very happy to be up there, but I'm not giving up. I'm trying my best, and if I'm the one to be the winner, I will have to do enough to deserve that, and no doubt that is at the back of my mind.
They're both jockeys that know what it takes to be the champion here in Hong Kong, both three-time winners of the prestigious Champion Jockey Award. Let's have a look, though, towards the feature on Sunday. It's the Group 3 Lion Rock Trophy. Joe Moreira has won 3 of the 4 renewals of this race. Southern Legend, though, has the top weight after winning the Group 1 Champions Mile last time out. Ka-Ying Star was the runner-up in this race. Ratton also comes out of the Champions Mile. Harmony Victory has trialled well and has been freshened up for this race. Elusive State's better known for his performances on the all-weather track. Over the page to the other lightweights in the race. Dances with Dragons developed a fabulous record since joining Casper Founds' stable. Precious Ship has had a terrific season with 4 wins, and General's Delight is coming off his first ever win in Hong Kong last time out. So, Darryl, then let's go back to the Champions Mile and to the win from Southern Legend. A terrific battle between him and Beauty Generation. He's the class angle to the race, but as a consequence, he does have the big weight to carry.
Yeah, handicap racing does make it a little bit more interesting. In fact, this is possibly one of the hardest races to assess form-wise. Throughout the entire program, that and probably race number 1. But yeah, you're right. The class is obviously at the top, and you've got a number of lightweight chances at the bottom. The couple that sort of interest me down there, you touched on, was a General's Delight, who was pretty good last time out off a wide draw. Precious Ship was drawn wide in that same race last time, got dragged back, drops 20 pounds, gets a good draw. I think Matthew Chadwick will suit him. He'll certainly sit handier. And Beauty Legacy, I think with Chad Schofield back on the likely leader in Ka-Ying Star, I think Beauty Legacy might be able to get a nice little suck in behind that runner, and I think might be the one that can finish the best.
Okay, because he was pretty unlucky last time out, wasn't he?
Yes, he was, yeah. And yeah, I just think down on the minimum, he's got a good draw. Joe, obviously you look to the big race riders and feature races, and I think this might be the race that Beauty Legacy can bounce back in.
He's a horse who's always shown a lot of ability, but he's his own worst enemy. It was interesting to hear from John Size, though. He does feel that he's getting better with his racing manners, and also from a tactical point of view, that up to the mile he might be a bit closer. How did you assess the speed in the race here, Darryl?
I think it'll be somewhere near standard. I don't think it'll be particularly fast, and I don't think it'll be particularly slow, but I think it'll be fast enough to allow Beauty Legacy to settle in behind, because if he doesn't, then his chances are diminished. But I think there'll be sufficient speed for him to be able to get the run of the race.
We've touched on Southern Legend, the Group 1 winner from last time out. He's one of 2 runners in the race for Casper Founds. The other being Dances with Dragon, who's had 4 starts for Casper for 3 wins. You would have seen him in New Zealand, Darryl. He was a Group 1 winner there. That form from Happy Valley of his, can that transfer at group level at Sha Tin?
It possibly can. As I said, it's a pretty difficult race to assess from top to bottom in the handicaps. In fact, you could make an argument for 6, 7, maybe even 8 runners if they were to win. You wouldn't really be that surprised, and I think he probably fits into that boat.
And General's Delight, like Beauty Legacy, is another horse who came here with really big raps from Australia. Looked like quite a nice progressive type of horse. I was quite taken by that last start win, Darryl. He's now at a few runs under his belt too, so you'd think after the win last time out he should be near peak fitness. Is he one that you've got in your calculations?
Yeah, absolutely. And he did it off a wideish barrier last time out as well. And you're right, he did come to Hong Kong with a bit of a reputation, came here from Oz where he was Millard's Reaction, and I kind of expected him to have delivered before he actually did, and when he did the way he did, as you said, you couldn't be more impressed.
No, I was impressed by him last time out. I think he's a horse on the way up. He's my idea of the winner of the race. We'll get to yours in a moment, Darryl, but you said that there's 7 or 8 in the race that you could make it a case for. Horses like Kaying Star was the runner-up in the race last year. Ratton's such a consistent horse. I thought Harmony Victory has trialled well coming into this. If you were to nominate a roughie, is there something that value that you'd be tempted to have a little something on?
Maybe Harmony Victory, because I think the odds will be reasonably attractive. Hasn't had all favours, or certainly didn't have too many favours last time out, but and like you said, it's trialled really well. I wouldn't be surprised if he finished in the thick of things, and I thought he might be at some reasonable value, because obviously punters are going to go sort of top and bottom of the handicap to a degree. They're going to look at the class horses at the top and those with good ability at the bottom with no weight. So if you can find something in the middle with a bit of value, and I think Harmony Victory might represent that.
OK, so Harmony Victory's the roughie. Darryl, who's the winner?
Providing, and there is a big proviso, that Beauty Legacy behaves himself and doesn't wrestle the rider too much. I think he'll get the run of the race, and he'll be the winner, because if he doesn't win, like I said earlier, you know, you can make a case for many.
Yes, it's a wide open race. The Group 3 Lion Rock Trophy, the feature of 11 races coming up on Sunday, and it all starts off at 12:15. The coverage starts at 11:45. We're heading back to Happy Valley on a Wednesday night for 9 races, and then the weekend action next weekend is at Sha Tin. But Darryl, we're out of time. Thanks for your company. We'll see you at the races on the weekend.
Brilliant. Thanks for having me, Ed.
Thanks to Darryl Anderson there. We're going to leave you with some sad news. Earlier this week, Stanley Ho passed away, well known for his influence in Macau and also well known as an owner and member of the Jockey Club here in Hong Kong. He raced champion galloper Viva Pitaka. Let's finish the show by looking back at his win in the 2010 QE2 Cup.
As they work down the back of the course, and the Japanese stallion Never Bouchon is striding in the lead. He's freely out in front by a length to Super Pistachio. Mr. Medici third from the 8-year-old Viva Pitaka. Then Lizard's Desire 3 back the fence. The Derby winner Super Satin White sits high in the irons back in 6th, followed by Collection, Unique Jewellery, and Presvis is back last where he came from to win last year's edition. 700 metres out. Never Bouchon's been running at even sections. From Super Pistachio, Mr. Medici, Viva Pitaka, no moves. 3 back the fence, Lizard's Desire. Super Saturn's waiting to cut the ribbons. White had a look around. He can't see anything coming for the time being, but he's got the short price favourite Collection on his inside. Then Unique Jewellery and Presvis is 2 lengths behind them. This would have to be a super effort by Presvis this year. Super Pistachio called upon. He's asked to chase Never Bouchon. Here comes Lizard's Desire, 1 off the fence. Viva Pitaka's flat out, but he's coming. Then Super Saturn and Collection to the outside. What a great finish, and Viva Pitaka hits the lead. Super Saturn in pursuit. Viva Pitaka, Super Saturn. It's the old 8-year-old Viva Pitaka. What a grand moment in racing. Viva Pitaka staved off the Derby winner Super Saturn.